Hello my book friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. And you know what? Goodbye 2020 and hello 2021. 2020 was the worst, and honestly it was like the longest but shortest year ever, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Although 2020 sucked, there was some good moments, and good moments, I'm talking about books. I'm talking about reading. I read, how many books did I read this year? Let's check the good old Goodreads. So in 2020, my reading goal was 50 books because 50 books for me is like, I usually always hit at least 50 books, and I didn't want to like challenge myself too much because I believe like in 2019 I read like I think around like 80 books, and it was like really hard for me to get to like 80 books, so I really wanted to like just chill. So I just set it to 50 books, and this year I'm gonna try and challenge myself to read 60 books. So in 2020 I read 61 of 50 books, so this year hopefully maybe I'll get 71 of 60 books. We're just upping it by 10. Let me know in the comments down below how many books you guys want to read this year in 2021. Today we're going to be counting down from 10 to 1 of my favorite books of 2020, so let's just get started. Coming in at number 10, we have Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. 2020 was such a great Cassandra Clare reading year for me. I caught up on all the Cassandra Clare books. I hadn't been caught up on her books in legit forever, and it was such, like, it weighed on me and my reader heart so much because I love Cassandra Clare. I loved the Mortal Instruments growing up, and it just really hurt me that I wasn't caught up and in the know with all these like new characters and all these new books. And so 2020 was like the year that I was going to finish all the Cassandra Clare books and get caught up, especially because Chain of Gold came out in 2020, and I wanted to be ready for that. So I finished The Dark Artifices, and oh my gosh, I even did a binge reading vlog for it, and I really love that video because now I can go back and like see what I was experiencing when I was like reading these books like one by one. Queen of Air and Darkness was a wonderful conclusion. I really loved it. There were some plot twists in there that really shook me to my core. If you guys know what I'm talking about, Wings, the wing guy. That's what I'm talking about. That, whoa, oh my gosh. I am so excited for the Wicked Powers, but also like really nervous because we had conflicts resolved in this book, but like not entirely. There's still a lot of bad guys out there that we're gonna have to like face in the Wicked Powers, and it's getting me really nervous because this seems like it's going to be like a really big war in the Mortal Instruments world, and I just like, I don't know what to do. But one thing I do know is that I think we're in good hands with Cassandra Clare. I mean, she might kill off a lot of our favorite characters, which I don't appreciate that. But I love her writing, and I just love this conclusion. I thought it was wonderful, and I love these characters, and I cannot wait to see them in the Wicked Powers. We have a long time coming from that. Can you believe the Wicked Powers is going to be the last Shadowhunter Chronicles series? Like, what? Coming in at number 9, I have Yes, I Like You by Casey West. This year I got into a lot of Casey West books. I kind of rediscovered her books. I read my first Casey West book when I was like 15, it's like a long time ago, and I didn't really remember the plot. I really read a lot of contemporary books in 2020, mostly just because, you know, the world was kind of in a dark place, and I wanted some happy times, and I wanted some cutesy romances. So I read Casey West, and this one was by far one of my favorites of hers. It was just so cute. It's kind of got a little bit of hint of like enemies to lovers to like secret passing notes in class, and it's just adorable. Okay, I loved it so much. It gave me so much happiness, and I love Casey West books. I'm definitely gonna be reading more of her books in the future. She's a new author on my radar, and I'm excited to read more of her books. Coming in at number 8, we have When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. I think that's how you say it, but I'm probably butchering that, and I'm really sorry. Oh my gosh, this book was adorable. Another cutesy romance that I loved. I read this when I had to come home in like my first 2 weeks of college because I had to come back home to be in quarantine because one of my roommates got COVID. Thankfully, I did not get it, but I was stuck in my room for 2 weeks, and it was not fun, but necessary. I really needed a cutesy romance to just hype up my mood, and this one was exactly the one that I needed. This book is about a girl named Dimple who doesn't want an arranged marriage, but her parents are like kind of like insisting on it. In the book, she goes to a camp where she gets to practice her passion. It's like kind of a competition, and who she meets there but Rishi, and Rishi is the guy that her parents wanted her to marry, and he goes there to woo Dimple, but obviously Dimple just doesn't want to be wooed. But they're paired up in this competition together, and it is just so cute. I loved it so much, and I'm so happy that I read this book, and I cannot wait to read more of this author's books. Next up, we have Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I loved it, obviously. I read this book right before Chain of Gold came out. It was like a race trying to read all these books and get caught up before Chain of Gold came out. This, I think, definitely necessary before you read Chain of Gold. This book just got me so much more excited before Chain of Gold came out that I made a crackpot theory video before the book came out, and it just made me, I was just so ready for Chain of Gold. Like, I think we all knew that. Everyone was so ready for Chain of Gold. I just loved learning more about our characters in the Shadowhunter world. I think that's why, like, these kind of books just really harness our love for these characters and these worlds, because we get to learn more in depth like about their character and their friends and their loved ones and just like them in general. I love learning more about these characters. Oh, by the way, any videos connected to any of these books will be linked down in the description box below. I did do a book review on this book, and it was really, really fun to make. I usually don't read novellas, but I think with Cassandra Clare, it's like really necessary to learn more about the world and the characters. And I loved the way that these authors came together and wrote these characters. I devoured it, and I loved it. Coming in at number 6, we have The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. Every single time I look at this cover, I just like fall in love over again, because it's just beautiful. Like, look at that. That just screams summertime to me. I love it. One of my favorite contemporary book covers, like, ever. I read a lot of contemporaries, like I said. And this is one that I read in summertime, so it wasn't like right before summer. It was like in the depths of summertime I read this book. And it got me so much like in the summer mood, but like it made me really sad about being like, I had to like be indoors like all the time, like we all were this past summer, because like the character goes out and like does all this fun stuff, and it's just like a lot of fun. It makes you want to go and do those things. It was sad not being able to go out because we were all in quarantine, but like reading makes it better. Reading makes it better. I just really adored this book. I feel like I always learn so much from like the storylines when I read contemporaries. Something about contemporaries just like really, I connect with them so much. I connect with the characters, and I really loved our main character, and I loved her friendships. That was one of my favorite parts about this book, was the friendship aspect of it. I also loved our main love interest. He was adorable, okay, and the dogs were adorable. It was just a wonderful, wonderful summer read, and I just love this book, and I love Morgan Matson books, and I think I only have like one more book of hers, and then my collection I will have read everything. But like she's coming out with a new book this summer, which I'm excited about. But definitely if you guys want like a really nice like contemporary summer read, this one I recommend. Next up, we have Off Balance by Aline Aaron. This was the sequel to Off Planets. It was amazing. I was so excited for this book, and boy did it not disappoint. Aline Aaron she has been one of my favorite authors for like a really long time, and I wish more people talked about her books because they are just so wonderfully written. I just love her characters, and she has such unique storylines, and this was definitely like a spacey book, and I'm not going to give too much away because, you know, you have to read the first book first, but it was awesome. I loved our main character, and I loved the new setting that this book had, and I loved getting to know one of my favorite characters ever. His name is Lorne. I loved him. He was amazing in this book, top notch. Fell in love with him all over again like I did in the first book, but it just, you know, it got better this book around, and I'm so excited to read the third book. If you love spacey reads with like romance and stuff like that, please just pick this up. Honestly, if you don't even like spacey reads, just pick it up anyways, because I just really love these books and I want more people to talk about them. Next up, we have The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. I waited a really long time to actually read this book because I wanted it in paperback edition, because there's something about contemporaries. I always want them to be in paperback. Sometimes I'll buy them in hardback, but I really like them to be in paperback, and I'm really glad I waited because this cover, ugh, my ring light, but like this cover is just like it's so different, and I really love it. I also read this book in the summertime, and it was the best time to read it in the summertime. It has to do with like a lake town. Our main character Emma goes to this lake town to see this part of her family, like her mother's side, that she's basically hasn't been in contact with for her entire life. Her mother has passed away. Going to see this side of her family is something that, you know, she's a little bit wary about because she doesn't know the side of her family. But as she gets to know the side of her family, she gets to know the rest of the story of what her mother was like when she did live here at this lake town with all these other family members. One thing about Sarah Dessen books that I just love so much is the character development. She's like the queen of character development and like friendships and just like a little bit of romance. I loved the family aspect in this book. It was so amazing. It just captured my heart in every single way possible, and I loved it so much. Like, oh my gosh. One of my top reads, and I will recommend this book to anyone and everyone. You guys should read this. I loved it so much. It just got me so much in the summer mood, and I just loved it. Oh my gosh, guys, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're getting down to the top 3 books of 2020. These books made my year. Coming in at number 3, we have Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I love this book. I loved getting into a new Sarah J. Maas world. It was so interesting because it's kind of like urban fantasy, but it's not, because it's like a whole new world, but like it just feels like urban fantasy. I loved our main character. She was so strong, so smart. And I had a lot to say about this book in my book review. There's so much world building in this book that I thought was just wonderfully done. Also, the end half of this book destroyed me. I did not see it coming. It was awesome. It was awesome, especially because I read it and I listened to it on audiobook. It was awesome. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I am so excited for the next book. I don't even know what to expect. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this book, because people in my comment section in that book review have come up with like amazing theories. You guys are awesome with those theories, and I'm so excited to just see if any of you guys are right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Coming in at number 2, we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This book made my year, honestly. Jennifer L. Armentrout has been one of my favorite authors since I was 13 years old. She just never ceases to amaze me. And this book, even the second book, was a masterpiece. Masterpiece. She is so talented. If you have not read this book or any other Jennifer L. Armentrout book, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm here. Read it. Do it. This book was so amazing. I'm sure like all of you guys have been hearing about it through the book community, because anyone and everyone who's read this book just loves it. Our main character's name is Poppy. She is a maiden. She's very sheltered, and then she meets a guard named Hawk. And he is one of the main reasons that you guys should read this book, okay? If you guys are seeing the fan art floating around the bookish community, I mean, come on. This book made my year. She did not even tell us that she was publishing this book until the day it published. She was just like, here, have fun. I'm so thankful for this book because it made me so happy. Now, when it came down to trying to pick which book was my number 1 book of 2020, it was really hard. It was really hard between these two books, and I just could not pick. So I decided to make both of them my favorite reads of 2020. And they are A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout and Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This one is a sequel to From Blood and Ash. This book destroyed me in every single way possible, okay? The last part of the book, what the crap. I am so excited for the next book. I can't even deal. I can't even think about it because I get so excited about it that I'm like, I can't believe I have to wait till April to read that book. I rest my case. It was amazing, amazing. One of the best sequels that I have read in my life. Chain of Gold obviously was gonna be obviously was gonna be on this list, and probably obviously was gonna be number 1 because James Herondale, Cordelia Carstairs, Optimum of Perfection. I was so excited to read this book, and when I got my hands on it, I just could not contain my excitement. The characters in this book just make me so happy. Matthew Fairchild, C. Herondale, Thomas, like they all just make me so happy. I'm so excited that we got these new characters. I loved this feel of this time in London, this time in history. It was just awesome, and I just love these new characters, and I honestly think that this trilogy might become one of my favorites of all the Shadowhunter Chronicles, because right now, you know, the Infernal Devices are my favorite because of Will Herondale. But now that I met James Herondale and Cordelia Carstairs and the rest of the gang, like, I'm starting to think that this one is going to top it. And, you know, I'm not mad about it. Oh my god, look at that. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Look at all characters. Aren't they beautiful? And also the end part of this book, the drama. I love it. I love to see it. I love to read it. Both these books deserve an award. And here's an award for you. For me to you. You guys, these 2 books, they did awesome. Great job for brightening up 2020. So there you have it, guys. Those were my favorite books of 2020. These books really just made my year so much better, and I would love to know what are some books that you guys read in 2020 that made your year better. So that is it for today, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!